Hi guys, welcome back.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to the open Welcome to season 3 of the Open Doors podcast. It's just us two today, so we're like a little bit crazy, I would say. Maybe we need James and Yvette to make us behave.
Yeah, maybe we're like the adults in the room when they're around. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, season 3. I can't believe it. My memories on my Facebook came up today. It's like, first of all, I didn't have social media until the podcast. So somebody sent me, it was Tommy. Shout out to Tommy. He listens every week. He sent me like our friend-iversary on Facebook. And I was like, that's only because of the Open Doors podcast. Because I was like anti-social media before.
It's true. You didn't have any social media. And really, I had social media, but I never really like used it. Yeah. So when we started doing like an Instagram, it was so scary because I didn't understand anything of it. And I remember that was like teaching us everything.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah, I had been off everything for 8 years. And oh my gosh, I remember that day like it was yesterday. You know, we were sitting on your couch after the prayer meeting. I think it was the first prayer meeting we recorded, like that first day. And we were talking about, you know, Yvette was talking about making that video and the pictures and stuff. And I remember looking at you guys going, I have to make an Instagram and a Facebook, don't I? And you both were like, yep. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. That was Mary Magdalene. Remember, I was Mary Magdalene's picture for so long because I was like, not putting my face on there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. Crazy how much stuff happens in a year, right?
I can't believe it. But it also makes me think of like, because I actually remember when you went off of social media.
Yeah.
And then you went back on the social media just for the podcast, but now you use the social media, not like obsessively or anything like that, but I feel like it doesn't bother you like how it did in the past.
Yeah, it definitely bothered me in the past. I would really struggle with comparison. You know, life was very different for me in my late 20s than I was seeing with people that were around my age. You know, I was sitting at chemo treatments every other Saturday for a year when I was watching other women, you know, get married. Not get married is not the right word because I got married also. But, you know, just it wasn't like their life looked like celebration, whereas mine like did not. And I was just comparing, you know.
Yeah, it was like comparing, and I feel like almost getting trapped in the, what do they call that? When you like can't stop scrolling. Is that what they just call it? I know so little about social media.
Oh my God, we're the worst. Where's James and Yvette?
Yeah, where are the actual people who know something about this? But I feel like it's like they say that people get so caught up in just looking through the reels or the whatever that like they can't stop.
Yeah, I think like the mindless scrolling or whatever they call it. I feel like there is a word. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would just mindless scroll and compare instead of just mindless scroll and like laugh or mindless scroll and whatever. But it definitely was a struggle. But interestingly enough, so when I went back on social media, I had a lot of freedom. Like there were definitely moments where I started to see things again and I started to maybe compare. But oh my gosh, like that was like, I think I was like 10 years ago, maybe even a little less than that when I got off for that reason. But when I went back on, I just felt so different. But I did find myself like, I remember when I learned actually what a reel was because I didn't really know.
We're really showing everybody how
we sound like grannies,
outdated we are as far as any social media goes.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm like, what's a reel? And, you know, and I didn't understand like the addiction of it. Because I had never experienced it before. But I remember one specific night, I had been looking at reels and, you know, one made me laugh. So I watched the whole thing. I might have liked it, whatever. And I did find myself, I was like, wow, 45 minutes just went by and I had zero recollection of like time. Like it went by so fast. It was almost like I could experience the addiction that people get in that. And I was like, whoa, that's what that is. It's so easy to fall into that.
Yeah.
And now, you know, like there are times where I'm like, oh, I'm doing it, or like I put it down. But I could see how it could be such a trap.
Yeah. A trap, I think, is a good word, maybe in like a lot of different ways. Trap of comparison.
Almost like trap of escape, I want to say too.
Sure.
You know, like you're just escaping whatever you're supposed to be doing or thinking about or experiencing, and you're just, you know, stuck there. I mean, how many times like you look around and two people are just sitting there like not speaking to each other and just scrolling.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's like, I think the thing that really stands out to me is the idea of like no social media to having social media to recognizing the addiction that it could possibly be to like managing to just say no.
Right. It's like having it, but having the ability or the strength, like you said, like to say no or moderate it or whatever.
Self-control.
Yeah. Self-control. Yeah. Self-awareness.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Also.
But it's funny. It's like, because that's like a lesson learned just from having created the podcast a year ago, you know, to go from zero social media to having to post things all the time. I think that that's just one change. And I feel like sometimes social media it could be a trap and it could be terrible, but sometimes it's really beautiful. You know, I enjoy looking at pictures of my friends and their families and stuff like that. I definitely am not into the political or any of that crazy stuff on social media, but I do really enjoy looking at like the families and especially like cousins who don't live close.
Yes.
That I get to like see them, you know, their pictures and stuff like that. But I feel like that was one change that really came for us this year.
Yeah.
Both of us. I mean, I never went off of social media, but I was never really like on social media.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. So now it's like I'm definitely on it more than I ever was.
Yeah.
But I don't feel trapped by it.
Yeah. No, you never did. And I think that was like a testament to your own just self-discipline. I think I find you to be like a very disciplined type of person. And I think there's a lot of things about you too that aren't like, you weren't like a follower of the crowd. I feel like overall what I know about you from when you were younger to now is like you are not really, again, like a follower. You don't really often get caught up in the trap of comparison or anything like that. I think that's kind of always been like who you are.
Yeah, I don't really get too caught up in the trap of comparison. And sometimes I think that is not like a special virtue of mine. I think it's just I don't notice. Like I always struggled to like notice what to compare.
Yeah.
Like I just never I never noticed what was like the right style or the right like any of that. And then when I find that I'm interested in stuff like that, like when one of my co-teachers from years ago, Lisa, I've spoken of her on this podcast before. She was like the most beautiful in my eyes. I always felt like Lisa was so beautiful and so perfect and so put together and like not. And the strange part was like she was never into a lot of makeup and she wasn't like really like, she just carried herself in such a way. And I could remember like looking at her when I was going to work with her. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm this like mess and Lisa's like perfectly put together, you know? But she kind of just taught me things when I worked with her about like, you know, simplicity and using things that you have and just, I don't know. I learned a lot about that from her, but she was definitely, I mean, as far as I know, maybe she was more into that like comparison and whatever than I was aware of. But I just felt like she was very simple.
Yeah.
But like very like beautiful, and she exercised and she did her, you know, she was disciplined. I guess that would be the word. Like she was like super disciplined in that way. And I've always kind of been disciplined as far as like eating well and exercise and stuff like that. But I learned a lot about like fashion and stuff like that from Lisa because she knew everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I like to learn from other people when I see how people do things. It's not like for comparison usually. It's just like, wow, okay.
Like an interest.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yes. When I get an interest in something, I go all in. It's almost obsessive. I do get obsessive interests.
Yeah.
For sure. And so that would be how I learn.
And I think that's it's like such a positive quality in a way too, because I think there's that part of you that likes to know everything, like likes to have all of the information, and whether it be about fashion or makeup or whatever it may be. Whereas I'm somebody who I don't really need to know everything. I just kind of can go with it. And I'm like, and then you'll tell me things. I'm like, oh, thank God she read that, because now I know that too. You know, it's interesting to see that the two of us kind of like work together. But when I do want to know something, I'll do anything to like figure it out, you know?
Yes. And there's a lot of things that you naturally know. Like you're another one. You're kind of like a little bit like Lisa with like the natural ability to like decorate. And like, I feel like you, Lisa, Palizzi, I feel like all of you guys, Shannon, if we're going with work people, I feel like all of you guys have this like natural decorating. Like anytime my co-teacher asks me like, do you think that this looks good over here? I'm always like, oh no, the pressure is on and I'm gonna fail. I'm always like, oh God, we should really go get Marissa, or like praying Shannon walks in the room or something so that like I don't have it off center, because I could like it's when you even asked me before we started to record, is the phone straight? I'm like, it is.
And it's funny because the second the question came out of my mouth, I'm like, is she just gonna say it straight? I'm like, I'm not sure why I'm asking.
There's no reason to ask. And I always like, I feel such pressure, and like Palizzi will, or like you or any of you, and I'll be like, yes. And then I'm like, I don't know.
And then it's so funny too, because then
it looks straight to me.
And then I'm like, if I ask and I know you just say like, yeah, I agree, I'm like, she doesn't know. And then it's funny what the tricks like the mind plays on us, because oh, guys, this literally happened 5 minutes ago. So I was
trying to stare at it to see if it was straight.
I was setting up our camera tripod, and I'm like, I don't know, there's something about the phone. I feel like it's like crooked. I'm like, Janine, does this look crooked to you? And she's like, no, it looks great. I'm like, I knew she was going to say that. But I'm standing, but then my mind goes, oh, look at you. You just have to be such a perfectionist all the time. Like, it's fine the way it is, you know? It doesn't have to be perfect. And it's like, it's so fascinating, right?
And my mind was going, is it straight? Oh my God, I hope it is. It looks like it is to me, but I could totally be wrong. It's going to be all crooked when it's done. Oh, well. Then we have a crooked video. That's literally my mind.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, oh, well, like it's going to be okay. I mean, I think it's going to be okay. That's just like kind of is popping into my mind, you know. When you were talking about Lisa before, I started to think about myself. You and I just had this conversation recently about me and like when I was like growing up and stuff. And it started over a trampoline. Do you remember this?
I do know this conversation.
And I don't know why my mind is going in like that direction right now, because I think it has to do with like maybe that comparison or that like never feeling like you're enough, you know, and then being okay with being whoever you are, or like whatever sneakers you have.
Camera.
But I just felt like sometimes when I was growing up, like I always felt like, no, I shouldn't say always, but there were so many times like I wanted a trampoline so bad. And Mom and Dad, I love you. If you're listening, don't think this is anything like that I'm saying about you guys. But when I was growing up, I really wanted a trampoline. Like all my friends were getting trampolines, like the big one, the really bouncy big one. And I remember I got a trampoline and it wasn't the big one. And I was like, that's not the one I wanted. That's not good enough. My friends have the big one and I got a small one. Like, who's going to want to hang out on my trampoline? Like, it's not going to be as fun as the other ones. But, you know, and for whatever reason, my parents just at the time, like, didn't. Maybe it was dangerous. Maybe it was money. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I remember I always felt like I was like striving for the grand prize and I never like got it, you know, and I feel like I carried that with me through a lot. And interestingly enough, what I did when I turned that into like, when I turned into an adult, I would use the phrase, oh, I'm just late to the party. So I don't know why it has to do with like clothes again, but when like high-waisted jeans came in, I was like, I can't wear high-waisted jeans. I wear these jeans. These are the jeans I wear. These are the jeans I'm comfortable in, right? Everyone's wearing the high-waisted. I don't know. I think years go by and I try on high-waisted pants and I'm like, these are the most I'm never going back. And then I would use that like oh, guys, I'm just late to the party. I need time to get used to like change. But it was like that constant like wanting to be like everybody else, but like never getting there or getting there later or never getting it or whatever. But yeah, that's just like the direction my mind went in.
So it's like the idea of looking at what everyone else has and wanting the best version of it.
Yeah.
I know the trampolines because you're younger than me. And I remember, because my nieces are close in age to you, and I could remember when those trampolines became so popular. I mean, they were the in thing and I was older, so I was like, that was not around when I was growing up. And I could remember like my generation and like older was like, those are dangerous.
Yeah.
Like I could totally see why your parents would have gotten the smaller one, because definitely for the danger factor. I could actually remember, I could be wrong about this, but I could remember my sister-in-law's father being like, if any of my grandchildren try and go near one of those things, I will destroy it. Like, I just remember that's like how they would like sometimes look at those as being so dangerous. And I was like, I would listen and I would be like, oh, they must be dangerous if everyone's, because you know me, I don't know anything. So I'm like, they must be dangerous if everyone's saying they're dangerous. And then it's weird that we're talking about trampolines, but I could remember my niece's graduation party, I think from high school. She was playing in the trampoline. They had one of the amazing ones that you didn't get. And she landed wrong. Someone landed on her ankle and broke her ankle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I remember being like, I think I was wounded for life. I was like, those are so dangerous. And this is how trauma works. I actually saw that happen to my niece. And I could remember like when my kids were growing up, air trampoline and jump, air trampoline. Every birthday party was at one of those places. And I could remember like, oh my God, it's like everyone's going to break an ankle. Like, and it was like, that's not true.
Of course.
Not everyone's going to break an ankle. But my mind was so conditioned to like be afraid. Like, and it's interesting because your mind was conditioned to need the next best thing. Like, it's like whatever thing has happened inside of us creates these thought patterns that we follow for years. Like, even thinking about it now, I actually did not connect until just now why I couldn't stand those parties. Like, I would just be like not happy. I would go to them and I would, of course, my kids are going to do whatever they're going to do there. But I could remember being like always thinking someone's going to get hurt. Yeah. And I'm 100% sure now that stemmed from me watching. And it wasn't even it was a trampoline. So I guess it is trampolines. They are kind of like all like that. But I could remember always, even like the bounce houses at school, sometimes we would have like these big things at the end of the school year. And I would always be like in charge. Like I would be like, I would be in charge. I would be in charge of I would be in charge of the big obstacle courses, making sure everyone was safe, making sure everyone went. I mean, this is all crazy, but I'm not kidding. I think I might have been so like, I always like, because you pick your destination of what you're going to do. And I always picked that. And I was always like 2 at a time.
To make sure
can't break the rules.
Oh my God. That's so funny. And that's just your personality as a teacher anyway, too. Like, so you're a rule follower, or not just a teacher, but as a person. But so you would think just in that moment, I'm just like doing what I do. I follow the rules 2 at a time. That's
making sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I mean, like, I'm not kidding you. I was crazy. I would be like standing on like the front of that line and they would have the workers there. But I was like, these workers are letting them go. There's too many in there at once. Wow. And my niece got hurt. This is crazy. This is like, I feel like I'm having a healing right now on the spot. Trampolines. My niece got hurt because there was too many people in there at one time and somebody landed on her ankle and broke it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And so my thoughts were always like, okay, wait, as long as we are like following the rules and not having too many people in at one time,
nobody gets hurt.
No one's going to get hurt.
And break an ankle.
Yeah. I mean, and this goes back to Lisa again, because I remember her and I would be partnered. Mm-hmm. She would be like, Leanne, you take your job so seriously. I was like, you bet I do. Mm-hmm. But I was like fully in charge of those obstacle courses and no one was going to get hurt on my watch.
Wow.
Oh,
That's so interesting.
Don't worry. Anybody's children that were going through those obstacle courses, Miss Lee Hat was there to save the day with the cape that I always put on because of my perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's little things like that. Like, you don't think it's like, and it did work. I mean, it worked out. It's not like a big deal, but the reason behind that type of like needing to make sure everybody's okay and all of that, probably came because I like couldn't believe it. In my mind, I was like, she was, it was the summer and now she had a broken ankle and that's not fair.
Right.
It's going to ruin the rest of her summer if, so that's where those like crazy thoughts came from.
Wow. What revelation.
I mean, I think we all have them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking of more of like the children, like being a child and wanting what you want and parents saying no, right? They say no for a reason, to keep you safe, to protect you. They put boundaries up for a reason. I feel like when James was on, we did an episode about that, like in parents and stuff. And I have been, as I mentioned in the past couple of podcasts, I have been going to daily mass. And the daily mass that I go to is across the street from a Catholic school. And usually there is a specific grade that is coming there, coming to mass on that specific day. Sorry, that was a lot of details for nothing. But so kids are coming in, and I'm really observant of them because I think, first of all, their innocence has been really standing out to me a lot. Because I think like we are all children at one point and we all have such innocence and purity to us. And then we grow up and then things happen to us. And, growing up over time, not just like flash forward 25 years, like year after year after year, like getting older and getting wounded and getting hurt and trauma. And, and obviously there's all great, amazing things that happen to us also. But all those little things, those little lies we hear that we make agreements with or whatever it may be. So I'm watching these kids, these Catholic school kids come to mass, and the young ones are the cutest thing ever. They sing Ave Maria at the end of daily mass like I have never heard anything. It's like the angels are singing from the heavens. Like they just sing so beautifully. And then this week I saw the older grade. If I were to guess, they were probably 6th grade, but they could have been a little bit older. And they were like, they were respectful, like they did the right thing. They didn't do anything bad, but they didn't sing at all. And I know it sounds so silly, but it's like, wow, the difference between like this innocent little children, the freedom that they have, and how quickly that freedom can get taken away of just from singing of like, well, I can't sing, like I'm next to my friend or whatever. And then you see like the select few that really just don't care that like are singing. And I'm like, yeah, you go, And I just feel like lately I've just been really observant of the kids. We teach middle school, so they're at those like formative years. And it's like, all of those things that maybe I got really angry at when I was a kid because my parents didn't let me do or I didn't get or whatever, it's like, wow, like, yeah, I guess I really am an adult at this point because I'm like, I wish maybe, not I wish, I guess, like I could go back, but it's like if you could hold on to the innocence of childhood, like as much as you can, like, and embrace it. And I know that sounds like so cliche, but it's like, the things adults try and teach children to hold that innocence, to hold that purity, to hold that freedom. Oh my gosh. Like, I just want to I don't want to make sure, but like it like inspired something in me as an adult with our prayer group children, with our kids at school. It's like, it just like sparked something in me. Like, it's almost like, oh my God, I get it. I get why I couldn't see a PG-13 movie when I was 10 years old, to preserve like that innocence in me. And maybe it made me different. Maybe it would have made me different. But it made a difference in me, with boundaries, with a no. It's just, I don't know if I'm like rambling now, but yeah, like, wow. Wow.
Well, I think that's something that, like, the innocence comes with like, you're not necessarily believing the things that everyone says.
Mm-hmm.
You're not needing to have that trap of comparison as much. You're still like knowing like, okay, if my teacher says to do this, then it's good, And I think that we all go through those stages of just like losing that. Like I've said it before, my friend Amanda, like my best friend of all time, was like this crazy girl who just always wanted to sing her loudest. And like she would have been that one that was singing every song. She would have been that one that was like dancing just to her own beat because she just didn't care, And that was her freedom. She had other areas where she wasn't as free. But I will say this, I have as I've gotten older and I've really started with healing and started getting to know like what are the lies that I'm believing? What are those things that are keeping me back from being able to be truly who I am, And I think that sometimes it is the trap of comparison. Sometimes it is the lie that I'm not enough. Sometimes it is like I have to be as good as this person or, they're not going to accept me. It's like so many different things get repeated in our minds. I'm not good, whatever, But I think that is what that relationship with God does. It's like, because it's in so many areas in our lives, we think, I don't know if it's true, but we believe we step into this world of I have to perform to be accepted. I have to have the better grades to be accepted. And that could come just from your parents asking you to study, I mean, I know even myself, like just being a mom, asking my kids to study and like me not being okay with certain grades that they received. And my not being okay isn't because they're not good enough without the good grades.
Right.
It's me wanting something that's better for them, but they might receive my displeasure as, well, if your grades aren't good, neither are you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about angels last week. The good angels like to whisper the truth. They like to whisper the positivity. They like to whisper the hope. But the other angels like to whisper the, no, you're right, you're not enough. And it's this balancing act of learning to hear, what is God saying? What would God say?
Yeah.
And the truth is, he's never going to say anything that's going to make you feel like you're not enough. He never accuses. He might convict, but he doesn't condemn.
No.
And I think so much of our experience, like you said, whether your parents were just setting a rule for your benefit, we don't always hear it as for our benefit. Sometimes we hear it as something completely different.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're not worthy.
Yeah.
And it's just living. I always talk about that spilled orange juice. You spill the glass of orange juice and your parent yells at you and says like, something that because they're frustrated in the moment of, what's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. You always do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what they mean. It's not true. But if you're 5, what are you going to do? How are you going to react? Your reaction to the mom or dad or whoever or aunt saying to you, you always do that. What's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
That is an identity lie then that we might sometimes pick up and just believe.
Yeah.
And then what do? We judge. Then I'm going to look at the person who just accused me and I'm going to be like, well, you're just mean. And like, that's not ever the whole picture, but sometimes the negative is all you hear. And that's where I think learning to turn that around and like as an adult, because the adults are the ones with like more power. I always would like to apologize. Like, okay, I'm sorry for the way I spoke.
Mm.
I didn't mean it. I was frustrated. I was stressed out, And then the ability to look at yourself like, okay, I'm holding a grudge or I'm feeling this way because this happened when I was a kid. But having the ability to look at the person who was supposed to be, in charge and be like, okay, they probably were feeling some of the stress that now as an adult, I can also relate to.
Yeah.
And maybe recover some of the innocence and that openness that you saw in those children.
Yeah.
And then, sound a little bit more like the angels than the demons.
Yeah.
It's like the angel on the shoulder and the devil on the shoulder.
Yes. Yeah, it's really funny. That's what I was thinking of, like the two voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always one that wants to pull you down and make you just, live in that misery, because misery loves company sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's also always going to be the one that wants to like lift you up and just like say you are enough. You are wanted.
And I think remembering too that that innocence, that freedom, that joy that they have, if you're just speaking of them singing in church, it's like, I don't have to be an adult and look at them like, oh, they're so cute, and look at them, they're so joyful and they're so innocent, they're so free. It's actually looking at them and being inspired to have that freedom also.
Yeah.
I can do that too. I can sing also and not be afraid of being judged or whatever, just to be free. Yeah, I think it's, I think Dr. Bob said this story once, just another story about agreeing with lies. I feel like Dr. Bob said this on Restore the Glory maybe, or in one of his talks or books or something. There was a boy who like came home from school or something, and he like had gotten in trouble. I'm probably misquoting the story. He had like gotten in trouble, and I guess his mom or something got mad at him. But then like right after that, his parents told him that they were getting a divorce.
Oh my gosh.
And he ended up blaming himself for basically his entire childhood for his parents' divorce because he got in trouble at school that day. And it's like, oh my gosh, like if he only knew. But that poor kid,
he's just so young,
and all like probably like the poor decisions that we make in life from there, they're always a response to something that hurt us in the past. We don't just choose them,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy.
It is. And I think it's important for us to like remember that, even though that sometimes because the negative is what you hold on to, like if you look hard enough, you will also be graced with the ability to see, okay, no matter what happened, no matter what my circumstance was in that moment, God was always there.
Yeah.
I was never like fully alone. And to realize that, I think, and to almost reframe it in your mind into no, I don't want to be trapped by that lie anymore. I don't want to be trapped by I'm the problem. I want to be free, and that freedom is for us. We're made for it. And it's just a matter of opening the doors, opening our minds, and opening our hearts to receive that from God. And from each other. That's what the body of Christ is about. I was listening to a cool podcast, and this, I want to come to an end soon because I feel like we're talking a long time. Of course, it's just the two of us, so we are. But I was listening to this podcast, and they are doing like a study on the 12 steps of AA, and because it was like, why is it so successful? And it was really cool that they like kind of framed it in this way of the part that makes AA so successful is, first of all, the steps are brilliant, all those different things that you learn. But it's like this reliance on your higher power, the reliance on God, and at the same time, the reliance of the community to always just step in for you and to love you and to accept you and to see you and to root for you in the midst of all of that. And I'm just basically summarizing because they did, I think, that podcast, ended up doing like 4 episodes. They did like a few steps per episode, but it was just really beautiful the way that they described it. And what I loved about it was like, it's just this family of people coming together and supporting each other and trying to remember the good, instead of getting stuck in the like quicksand of the negative memories.
Yeah, I think the point too is no one says brush everything under the rug, but changing that lens, changing that perspective of the good, of the good from the bad, like looking at the good and accepting the suffering and understanding that it was there, but it didn't define you in that moment. There were still so many good moments, and there were still so many encounters with God, whether you knew it or not.
Yeah.
And that's been I feel like a beautiful part of the journey of this podcast in this past year.
Yeah.
And, everything.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I do want to like definitely say like, yeah, we don't want to brush anything under the rug ever. Like that's what therapy's for, people. I feel like everybody should see a therapist. But
God, I love therapy.
I know, it's so great. But I definitely think that it's a matter of like naming things, instead of blaming and instead of like accusing yourself, because we do accuse other people, but then we love to accuse ourselves. So I think the healing of it is the acknowledgement and work. You have to put work into it. But seeing things and recognizing like, wow, I react this way to a trampoline because my niece got hurt.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. And I only just realized it today.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yep. All right. Well, welcome to season 3.
Welcome to season 3. We still have our tiny miracles.
Oh, yeah.
Tiny miracle time.
Tiny miracles. I did not even think of mine. Do you have one?
I do. Every Friday, you guys might not know this, but Janine and I get Starbucks. We've been doing it for years. And of course, this morning, I was very excited for my pumpkin drink that I saved for Fridays. And the pumpkin sauce was out and it was sold out. So after school, I was like, probably not going to get my pumpkin today because it's going to still be sold out. But it was back in stock. So I got to get my pumpkin. Not in the morning, but in the afternoon.
And my tiny miracle is that we had a problem with our roof, which did not make me happy. But I did get in touch with the guy who just put our new roof on recently. And he was like very good about claiming that he was going to come and fix it fast and everything. So that felt like a miracle. We'll see if it actually comes true. But in the moment, it felt like a miracle to me.
Yeah. I had some crazy weather up here. So.
Oh my gosh, it's been insane.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We can't wait to share all of our exciting things we have for you for season 3.
Yeah, we're going to do some things this season that we've never done before, and we're really excited to give it a try. James is not here today, obviously, and Yvette couldn't be with us either, so we just decided to record without them, but we miss them.
Yeah, definitely. Not the same, but still so fun.
And we do have some special guests. We're going to be recording with Mike Mastropola soon, so we're really excited for that and hoping to get my dad back on.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
And old and maybe new guests. Yep. We'll see. Yep. We'll see. We don't know what this season brings, but we're already planning and we're very excited.
Yep.
See what the Holy Spirit does.
All right.
Oh, James doesn't have his thing. I don't know how we're supposed to end.
Just remember, people. Oh my God. No, James or Yvette. This is it. Just remember.
Later, alligators.
Have a great day.